All right, so saith the Zoom recording. We are recording. Hey everyone, welcome to our group call. I know some folks might be having some issues logging in, so I'm going to keep an eye on our um, my email. Okay, so let's get started, and we'll start with our what's the thing we always start with?
Metaphor.
Thank you. My words, I've lost my words. I've been in the words so much. And great to see all of you and those listening on replay. Be sure to leave your metaphor check-in. So Ezra, you want to go first?
Sure.
Or should we have Rocket go first? Rocket, you want to go first?
Um, I feel like
I have a
uh,
funny.
I am a button on the water that is sprouting wings and ready to fly in the sky.
Okay, what? Huh?
So I am a button. That's how cute I am.
Okay.
And I'm sprouting wings, so I won't be floating. And I mean, I won't be drowning. I'll be able to fly and get a lot of work done as I have been. Um,
And this is about your writing.
this is my writing.
Great.
Yes, I'm getting work done. I'm
Okay.
flying through it. And um my favorite vegetarian dish I'll say is lasagna.
And thank you for starting that fun ice-breaking
Yeah, it has to be vegetarian. Yeah.
vegetarian lasagna. Okay.
No, I mean that's the question. What's your favorite vegetarian dish?
Yes, I understand.
So so
Yeah.
for all you carnivores out there, sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, as we're saying. Okay. Great. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Uh, Ezra, you look at I have to check my email.
Okay, now I can
See
see
everyone.
you and Katie. Which would like to go first? Um, Great. So, Kitty touched her nose, which means not it.
Not
So
it?
you
Hugh? Oh, okay.
go ahead and unmute.
Hello.
Hey, Hugh. It's your
So my metaphor check-in, I will follow up on last time I was here. The metaphor check-in was had a lot of building materials and had a lot of stuff. And right now my metaphor check-in is a lot of hammering and sawing and stuff and big cranes coming along and
Mm.
yeah. So that's what I'm doing right now. I feel like I've definitely uh, hit a good stride.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Oh, good. Oh, that's right. We were talking about this, and instantly I heard the sounds of construction sites. Yeah,
Sounds of construction sites. Perfect.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
as
And there's a construction site 2 blocks away from me
yeah.
uh, that's going to be active for the next 3 years. So I hear a lot of that.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
but yeah.
Whew.
So my favorite vegetarian dish. There is this local vegan restaurant that makes this vegan orange chicken with broccoli.
Mm.
It's orange seitan, which is it really has the texture of chicken.
Wow.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
it's a spicy orange chicken,
Oh
Nice.
wow. Yummy.
and that's I get that almost every time I go. Every once in a while, I'll get the Malaysian curry comfort stew that they have. That's my second favorite.
Mm.
Wow. Comfort stew. That sounds good.
It is, yeah.
Even though I don't eat vegetarian, those sound good. Yeah. I mean, not by choice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I bring my vegan friends there.
Ah.
They almost have a nervous breakdown with the amount of choice they have in the menu. It's it's 4 pages worth of Asian fusion dishes, and they're fantastic. And they're used to having 3 things on the menu to be able to choose from
Yeah, yeah.
most places. And they look at it, it's like, how do I decide?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so lovely. Ah. Oh, I forgot to put you in the spotlight. Katie, how about you?
Um, oh, my metaphor. No, it didn't. Okay, it did not escape me. So when you're making brownies or like any sort of like baked goods. Usually, if it's like a more like soupy baked good, you're supposed to drop it on the counter if you like drop the pan on the counter a few times before putting it in the oven to get the air bubbles out. And that's kind of how I'm feeling right now, where I'm like kind of dropping the pan a few times to get those air bubbles, those last air bubbles out.
Oh my goodness. Ooh. To make
Uh,
something good, to make something.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, something tasty.
Mm.
And it's I was going to say mashed, like just like mashed potatoes, but I don't think that's particularly a dish. So I'm going to say a loaded baked potato minus the bacon bits that usually go on it, but everything else.
Mm. Oh, yes. I am definitely with you on that one.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, great. Love it. Love that metaphor. I don't think we've ever heard that metaphor before. Really fun.
Yeah.
All right. My metaphor about writing fiction. Excuse me. The bubbles kind of caught my attention. I kind of feel like I'm in one of those floating bubbles and I'm not quite grounded and I'm just a little bit like, wait, where am I going? And you know how these bubbles just seem to float. Like I can't really direct the flow of the bubble. I'm a little bit ungrounded, a little bit like, where am I? And just going with the current instead of being directional. I just have so much going on right now. It's hard to focus. I did focus a little on research. That was nice. Uh, and yeah, my favorite vegetarian dish. Can it be dessert?
Yeah, sure.
Um, well, you mentioned chocolate brownies. When I was baking, I was making gluten-free um, chocolatey things. I don't even know what they are. Brownies, cakes, something like that. Oh, with almond flour. Oh yeah, yum.
Mm.
I made one time this thing that was like a lava cake. It was amazing. Chocolate. Okay, I can see what I'm craving. Uh, all right. There's our metaphor chicken. All right, let's do some free writing. Well, focused free writing. Today we're going to talk about speech, indirect, direct, reported speech. So I thought it'd be fun to do some free writing on dialogue. Between it needs to be between at least two people. And I thought to give you a challenge and like focus in on a point in your story, a turning point of a reveal, a secret is being revealed, or a secret is being hidden. Uh, so see if you can. I thought that would be an interesting focus, but in your dialogue, and yeah, does that cough up some ideas? And since we're a small group today, maybe I don't know, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Does 10 feel like too much?
I like 10.
Ezra likes 10, gets the engines revving, and 10 is good. I see some nods. Excellent.
Could you repeat the free write again, please?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
prompt is dialogue with at least two or more people. Wherein a secret is revealed or dun 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 hidden, one or the other. So it's a pivotal moment in the scene. Um, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something. Open it up, Scrivener. Here we go. Great. I'll see y'all in 10 minutes. I did notice the Fathom didn't record, but thankfully I turned on the Zoom, so that's good. There's been some big, server outages going on across the internet today.
Hmm.
No? Yes? I don't know. I've
No,
seen
I was shaking my head saying, yeah, well, typical. I mean,
typical, well, they're affecting several of my softwares, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Nothing I was actually using, so except for Fathom. Okie dokie. I'll see y'all in 10 minutes. Ciao for now. All righty, that was 10 minutes. Go ahead and post if you want what you worked on.
This is Diana. I made it
You made
to
it.
the audio only portion. Yes. So I'm listening.
Hooray. Hi, Diana.
Hi.
Yeah, we're just finishing up some free writing and on dialogue. Since today we're going to focus on dialogue, direct speech, indirect, direct speech. So we'll be reading those out loud in a second.
Whoops.
Did yours get all right?
No, I
You split mine in two.
yeah, sorry about that, Chief.
But you
Well, you're responsible for finding part two when you read it.
Exactly.
There you go. Ezra's got it going on. Great. Cool. And Katie's is in 2 parts also. Excellent. And I guess, well, go ahead and read mine, and then I'll say a few very brief words about it.
Right. Dingoldie, where's my grandmother? I don't know. I need to find her. Too dangerous. We agreed that if she missed the check-in, that you were to come here and locate her 3 crew members. She could take care of herself. But, Janie cut in. No buts, dear Janie. There is a but. Janie felt the heat of anger rising in her chest. Way out here, far away from most of the soul place, space, soul space stations and outposts, I've absolutely no jurisdiction. She crossed her arms over her chest. Exactly. It's your insider-outsider status. That's exactly why we wanted you. Dim Goldie shook with another fit of coughing.
Thank you. I admit I just copied and pasted this from my manuscript. I didn't make any changes. And then I started editing.
Yeah,
Naughty.
no, that's good.
I like it. I'm not going to change it, but I wanted to
I'm just trying to eye the secrets. So it's like she doesn't realize that
there isn't
her grandmother is not. She thought her grandmother was going to be available, but it's not.
Yeah.
I guess that's
yeah, I didn't really follow the example. I it's all a suggestion. It's a free write. You can do whatever you want. It's just a suggestion.
Great.
All right.
Do Hughes.
Let's do Hughes.
Both parts. Tobai plopped down onto the log and warmed his hands by the fire. He could heat a stone with magic and just hold on to it, but he was exhausted, and Rofin told him to preserve his strength for the days ahead. Fighting the swarm of scuttles drained him. Being yelled at by Rofin drained him, but his teacher was right. Tobai let his judgment lapse by stopping to help Arbella and not focusing on the swarm. So many could have died that day. I'd like to talk to you, Tobai. Roafin stood over Tobai, his mouth taut, his eyes grim. If you're going to yell at me, no, Tobai, Roafin groaned as he took a seat at the log and rubbed his hands near the waning flames. I want to tell you, I know how you feel. What was this? How he feels? I don't understand. I know that you've been intimate with Arbella. I know what she means to you. Ruffin closed his eyes and tilted his head back as if he were looking at something deep inside his head. Someone almost died because I was in love with him. Him? What? What was Ruffin talking about? He was in love with another male? I don't know what you're saying. Yes, it was when we were younger, during practice in the combat fields.
Ooh, I want to read more.
Yeah.
Great setup.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to finish.
Yeah, I hope you keep finishing it. That's good. Yes.
Should I do mine?
Okay, do yours.
Okay.
And then Katie's.
So this is from screenplay, so everything's present tense and everything is kind of this person says this person says this without using the word says. So at the SF San Francisco Aquarium cafeteria, Shepard, a stranger to Quincy, who has befriended her, sits next to her with a sushi dish. Shepard, do you come here often? Is that a pickup line? It can be. Sorry, I'm a girls only gal. No, well, it didn't hurt to try. Any girl in particular? My roommate, Estrella. You're a couple? She knows I'm gay, but she's not, so I haven't told her how I feel about her. Shepard nods. If you had any superpower, what would it be? What a great question. She scans the ceiling for ideas. To stop everything and have just one special moment between me and Estrella. How sweet. Quincy eyes his sushi. Eating sushi in an aquarium? Seems kind of cruel, doesn't it? Cruelty is my calling card. Quincy chuckles. Is that construction going on out there? Quincy looks outside. I don't see anything. Shepard puts something in her drink when she isn't looking. Quincy drinks it. I feel funny. She smiles, half awake. Did you roofie me? I've given you something that will take you outside of time. Instead of feeling the regular flow of time, you'll jump from moment to moment, sometimes months later, other times years later. Always where Estrella will be. I don't understand. Then, from Quincy's viewpoint, everyone stops moving. The clock's second hand freezes. Quincy muttered, What in the effing shit?
Ooh, timey-wimey. Oh my God. All right. Read Kitties. There it is.
Here we go. Kitties. The first great king of Lascar, Alexander, had one light eye and one dark eye, Will said, his gaze flicking over to me momentarily before returning to my sister, who'd crossed her arms defiantly in front of her chest. This knowledge threw me off a little. He had eyes like mine? It's not that uncommon of a trait, Sam argued back before I could recover. Let me continue and you will understand, Will said. There is a prophecy told by the last great king, foretelling of an heir of Alexander destined to save Lascar from its undoing. The sages said that the last great king, Nicodemo, said that one like him would come, and they would be the savior of our world. My heart stopped. Did you just say Nicodemo? Will nodded. Was he talking about the Nicodemo I'd met in the woods on Earth just a few days ago? We know him, Sam said, shifting on her feet. Last we'd seen him, he'd abandoned us in the middle of a hunting field. Will's dark features scrunched up and he ran his fingers over his cropped black curls. It's impossible that you know him. He died 500 years ago.
Oh,
That's great.
good, good, good. Oh, I love it. That's a great place to end a chapter.
That was really good. Oh, Ezra, I have to say that whole line about eating sushi in an aquarium, isn't that cruel? I don't know if that was supposed to be that funny, but I was laughing my butt off.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Thanks.
Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see. Diana, do you want to do a metaphor check-in? I know you're on the road, but I thought I would ask.
Oh man, I hadn't even thought of one. You'd have to give me a second to think of one because I'm also driving.
Okay. Okay. Safety first, safety first. Okay, I'll come back around. And we're also doing what is your favorite vegetarian dish? If you want to chime in on that too, when you're ready. All right, so next we're going to go into, thank you everyone for participating in the free write, even me who cheated, but actually I was editing after that, which was great. So it all worked out. So let's dive into indirect and direct and reported speech. And Diana, you're just in time for that because you're the one who inspired this call, this topic. And I know, Diana, you can't see the screen, so I'm going to read out loud as much as I can. And then, of course, there's the replay. Let me make sure. I thought I queued it up.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. Okay, let me get to the top of the lesson. All right, share screen. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I just have to point out Ezra's chat text because we were talking about construction earlier. This sentence is under construct.
Construct you.
Construct something. Construction. Cool. Okie dokie. So today we're going to talk about how people share information. That's what I was thinking is our macro topic or theme. And there's direct and there's indirect, but there's also something called reported speech, which you'll see what it is. I will talk about what it is, why it's important, why these things are important, and when to implement what. I have a rule of thumb to share, and then we're going to do an exercise. Oh, that didn't show up in my little table of contents. Should show up. Little table of contents. There it is. Exercise. Good. Okay. So let us dive right in and start defining our terms. And then we'll talk about why this is important for you as a fiction writer and how you can make the decision which of these to use. So direct speech, probably just like the name says, it's dialogue. It's what we say that we put in quote marks. The conceit is this is exactly what someone said, right? It puts someone's spoken words in usually in present tense, and it might be grammatically incorrect. It might be, it's going to be the way people speak. So I have two little examples here. Oh, and it's going to be contained by quote marks. And in American English, that's double quote marks. In British English, it's a single quote mark. And we won't even go to what the French do, which is they don't even use quote marks. It's bizarre, but that doesn't matter. So single quote marks for the Brits. Okay, so here's my little example that I wrote. I'm going out, Jane called to her parents as she left the house. And then here's an example I got from Perplexity. We must leave before the sun rises, said Captain Aaron. And all of you gave great examples of direct speech. It's directly what people say.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions there? No? Okay, cool. Let's go into indirect. So as I was putting this together, I was going off of my own memory of what I learned when both Ezra and I trained to teach English as a foreign language. So indirect. It's indirect. So it's what my first thought is it's what one person says to another without a direct quote. Oh, Tommy said, go to the store. But it also could be done in dialogue. So it's either done in dialogue or narration. Often we're speaking in the past tense, even though they might have spoken in the present tense. And often there's going to be some rephrasing, paraphrasing, and grammatical changes. We might use words like said, told, oh, he said this, or he told me this, or he asked me that. So when we switch from direct speech to indirect speech, we're also going to probably change the tense and the pronouns. So let me give you a few examples. Continuing my little story about Jane who goes out. I put this in quote marks. She said she was going out, Mom said to Dad. Or we could say, Mom said to Dad that Jane was going out. Or Captain Aaron said they had to leave before the sun rose. So technically, indirect speech is not in quote marks, but I think it can be when it's one person telling another person what a third person said. That's my take. And I'm going to do a little reveal. Diana, the reason you didn't know what reported speech is actually reported speech is just another word for indirect speech, which I figured out when I was researching it. It's mostly used in the EFL, English as a Foreign Language context, and that's probably why it's not so familiar. Another way of thinking about it is just what I was saying, when one point of view character tells another what was said and done. And often it's done in kind of a summary format. I think it can be in dialogue. That might just be my interpretation. And it's just another term for indirect speech. So here's an example. Erin asked her how much she had gotten for the rings and the watch, and she just shook her head and wouldn't answer. This is from Blue Moon, the Jack Reacher novel that we're reading. So I thought this was a great example. We're reporting on what was said. We're not showing you. We're not putting it in dialogue. And yeah, and I'll talk about why this is useful in a moment. So any questions? This is kind of the reveal that indirect is actually reported speech. They are the same. And even though the grammar rules say indirect or reported speech is not used in dialogue, I disagree because you can report what someone said in a dialogue line. So there you have it. Now I'm going to talk about why I think this is important. Why do you guys think this is important why are we even talking about this? Who cares what things are called? Ezra,
So
put you on the spot.
good because so yeah, I've a lot of you hear show don't tell, and there are appropriate times to tell, and if there's been some huge conversation between two people and and say the character has swam across rough seas and managed to get an item that he was trying to retrieve and swam back. And we see that, we feel that, we experience that. And then he meets up with the fellow spy, and he said, "Yeah, I told him how I had swam out, picked up the item, and
Mm-hmm.
had a conversation with someone about it." So that's just telling what he had done. But we don't want to have to go through the whole process all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. Does anyone else have an idea about why this is a thing that we're focusing on now today?
I mean, for my own purposes, and machinations, reported speech and like indirect speech, where it's like this person said this, like you can use that in what we were talking about earlier, like this like oral tradition and that kind of stuff. So like there's like lore and like that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, well, we can't get the direct speech from whoever, stated the prophecy 500 years ago,
Mhm.
but we do have the indirect speech or like the pooled speech where it's like, this is what was said.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you can also be sneaky and say like, this person said to do this and they didn't say to do that. And, showing readers that where it's like, you see what happens when he goes and swims into the sea and then he comes back and then like I don't know, he gets caught up and somebody goes and reports on him where it's like yeah, he swam out there and didn't find anything. So like, you can
Mm-hmm.
see the like levels of character development and like types as
Yeah.
a reader and writer.
I love that,
That's
using it
great.
for lying. So, frankly, I just thought of it as like, oh, this is one more tool in your toolkit. You can make a decision when you're editing. Oh, yeah, this should be in dialogue. Oh, no, I want to take it out of dialogue and put it in indirect. I also think it's going to give you some more choices for pacing and rhythm. And you both just said something else, like you can kind of show like character layers as well, like lies and stuff like that. That's really cool.
Great.
Any other reasons why this is useful?
I guess I'm I may be rephrasing what you have there, but I just like to have a term for a thing
Hmm.
I know I need somewhere. In this situation, I need X. Here I need Y. Here I need Z. Having a word for it, having a term to describe it helps me.
Yeah,
That's great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, good. And it's knowing. Uh, I liken it again to a tool in a toolkit. If you don't know how to use a hammer, then it's like, what is that thing? How do I use that thing? Yeah, and just knowing gives us so much more facility. All right, so let's talk about when to implement what. And here's a rule of thumb. I grabbed this from a Grammarly article. Um, So when determining whether direct or indirect speech, or we could also say reported speech, is the better choice, think about the type of sentence you're writing. Generally, any emotionally charged sentence, like an imperative sentence or an interrogative, which is a question sentence, is best written as direct speech. Or in the case of fiction, we might want to write it as direct inner thought. So I think the key here is emotionally charged. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just a general rule of
Yeah.
thumb.
Yeah. I mean, I
Mhm.
imagine there are lots of good reasons. Certainly, if the character is emotionally charged, then
That's when we want to be writing a scene versus writing a summary of what happened. Yeah. So here's my thoughts. Direct speech, great for creating a fast-paced moment, or actually, or a deep moment. Like if when two people are, like in your reveal, Hugh, it's like a deepening into the moment, and it like heightens. I guess it to me, the direct speech can heighten. Oh, I say it conveys. Um, well, I'm going to just write this. Heightens emotions, heightens emotion, but it also conveys character so well. Can convey humor and emotion. It's vivid. It brings immediacy to the scenes. It brings the character in. Reader brings the reader in. And this is something I pulled from somewhere. Direct speech is commonly used for dialogue, creating dynamic interactions, and revealing character personalities. What other things? Did I kind of cover all the bases of what direct speech, which we also call dialogue? I think of direct speech as dialogue. In fiction, we're calling it dialogue. Maybe in nonfiction, they're calling it direct speech. I don't know.
Is this different than say a narrator in a story?
Yes. I mean, this is anything that you're going to put between quote marks. So,
Okay, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, got it.
yeah. So I'm often, my critique partners will ping me and they're like, oh, well, you need to put that into dialogue instead of just internal. So that's like I have a tendency to do that. And I notice sometimes you do that as well, Katie. Like, why not have your character say that? I've often tagged your work, why not have your character say that? It can bring up the immediacy and make things, it also can heightens emotion, and I think it can heighten conflict in some cases. Yeah. Anything else that we want to add?
I can't think of anything. I
Yeah.
thought of something, but that it
Didn't go.
wasn't
Okay.
wasn't appropriate.
So
I mean,
here's,
it was just advancing plot, but you advance plot in direct speech or in
yeah, either way.
either way. So
Yeah.
that's not.
So here's another example. If the portal closes, we're trapped on this side forever, Jax whispered, his eyes wide with fear. Right? Like when a character says the worst thing that could happen, it's very powerful versus if it's just in narration or exposition.
Jax pointed out that the dangers of the portal closing and how it would trap them on the side forever.
Right. And that just like boom, right?
Eh,
Like it drops the emotion. It could have an ironic effect. It could have, it could serve some other purpose, right? If you don't put it in dialogue. So here's the explainer. This direct quote places the reader inside the scene, hearing Jax's exact words and emotional state, because we have our little eyes wide with fear here. So for indirect speech or reported speech, not the same as above. I think sometimes that you could use it for humorous effect or repetitive, creates a pace change, but also speeds up storytelling because you're summarizing, like in Ezra's example of someone crossing the channel. We show that scene and then they come back and they're like, yeah, I crossed the channel. Nothing happened or whatever. But we want to repeat sometimes because it brings the reader up to speed because a lot happens in a scene. As we know, this form summarizes or paraphrases speech, and the focus is more on the content than the exact words or even the emotion, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's useful for summarizing conversations, relaying information efficiently, especially when the exact wording is less important. And I know,
So
yeah, go ahead.
for the more focusing more on content than the exact words, I think something that like thinking about first person versus third person, where like if you're in first person POV, the content is through the lens of your what does the main like the character care about? So the first person POV care about, but third person can be like taken more as like what does like the world slash like what does that, omniscient thing, even if it's deep POV, but like it kind of I think it creates two different levels where it's like, okay, my main character probably won't listen to this or like care about this thing. It could be important, but it like leaves gaps of knowledge where it's like, this person cares about this in my story and like conveys that, but Beth doesn't care about that main character name. And so like she leaves it out of her summary. Obviously, as writers, we have to control that a little bit because we want our readers to be in the know, but like just thinking about like how like it shows the different like from the different POVs, it shows different like what people care about differently.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Okay. Shows what different POVs, characters.
That's really fascinating because I can just picture, instead of a dialogue, how insensitive the main character is, the protagonist. If the protagonist were to say, I got a call from my friend, my best friend Amy, and her house burned down, and we made plans to meet up later today. What?
What? Yeah, you can really show. And well, here's an example. Jax warned them that if the portal closed, they would be trapped on that side forever. So here the focus is on the message rather than the precise words,
Right.
which can help maintain narrative flow or condense lengthy exchanges. And I do notice some writers who tend to write short, and I was trying to find an example today. She writes mysteries and she tends to write short mysteries. That's it, Nancy Warren. I'm always kind of impressed with how she'll summarize stuff, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish she wouldn't summarize that moment. I want to feel that moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just thinking, so Paulette and Jax are um friends, kind of friends wanting to be in a relationship. And so if this was from Paulette's point of view, Jax warned them that if the
mhm.
portal closed, they would be trapped on that side forever. It was nice hearing his voice. Uh,
It was nice hearing his voice, I
yeah,
would think.
yeah, that might be more important than
Yeah.
what the content of what he was saying.
So right, if okay,
He had a lovely voice.
he had a lovely voice. Um, uh,
Or even like taking something where it's like everybody receives and reads a letter like that's chock full of information. How are they going to, are like how are they going to sum it up and like explain it in their own point of views? And that's an interesting way to like really think about
yeah. Well,
what your character cares about.
that's great. Yes.
There's
There's also,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, you go, Diana.
Oh, to me, there's also an opportunity for the author to do the same thing in their voice. Because that's one of your pieces of feedback to me is so often, hey, can you remind the audience or the reader of what's important? Like, what is important here? And so when you have that opportunity with indirect speech to summarize, you can really kind of say, hey, as the author, this is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially in this kind of story you're writing, a narrative voice would probably really be nice. And kind of also be akin to the source material, the Nutcracker, uh, and lend another layer. There's your main character, what she's doing, but then there's this narrative voice kind of guiding us, guiding the reader. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's great. So,
Hugh, did you want to
oh
add
yeah,
something?
Hugh, you had something. Thank you.
Yeah, that was just one thing that I read uh, actually just recently that you use, Beth,
Mm,
is a mixture of a direct, indirect for humorous reasons.
hmm
Uh, I don't remember the exact phrase. It was very funny. I have to go back and find it. But imagine somebody, the text is, open quote, it must be very difficult for you, close quote, as difficult as you are. You know,
There you
stuff
go.
like that's how you mix the two. And
Yeah.
you've done that. I'm in the middle of Red Running Deep right now, and you've done that a few times, and it's always so abrupt that I just love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're talking about this book, and I'm like, I wrote that. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
happened.
you
I
used you've
got,
done that a few times where you just she says something, you close the quotes, and then you hear her thought. I said, yeah, it's just great.
that is too funny. Yeah, so that's another use. Let me add that to our document. That's another use, which is sort of like the parenthetical commentary. Um,
Yeah, you know what? I thank you for a new term for the thing. Okay, thank you.
Well, something we learned, and this comes out of EFL as well, is the teacher, because when you're speaking to non-native speakers and you're teaching them English, the teacher was like, you got to keep your parenthetical commentary to a minimum unless they're intermediate or advanced speakers, because they don't understand your like sidebar comments. They're barely putting a sentence together. So the parenthetical commentary was like, I remember the teacher
That's
talking
interesting.
to us about that. And then as you advance in your language levels, then they'll start getting the joke. They'll start to get the sidebar
Mm.
commentary. I don't know. A lot of, yeah, I learned so much about English, learning how to teach it. It was fabulous. Uh, and that helped me be a better writer, I recognize, because it helped me look at language from an outsider's perspective. All right, we have an example, no, not example, sorry, an exercise. So you could do this with what you worked on today as just as an exercise, even if you don't want to use it in your final manuscript. But look at a piece of dialogue and decide if you want to put immediacy in there, so direct speech, or if you want to maybe speed up the story or use some other thing that we talked about, um, using indirect. And so my idea is to take either the same passage if you want, or a new passage, and make a determination. Do I want immediacy? Do I want to speed it up? And then play with change. Change direct to indirect or indirect to direct. And which is better, I should say, which is better for your scene, and why do you think that way? And you're welcome to share it. Uh, how much time should we work on this? Is this useful to y'all? Just
I
for a
mean,
little,
yeah, I already have
Ezra wants to
citing.
play with that. Okay, maybe 5 minutes. So it doesn't have to be super deep, but yeah, just play. And I'm going to play too with the exact same thing that I gave everyone. And Diana, I see you have your phone and your computer. You want both? Yeah, I know how it is. I sometimes use both as well when I'm calling in. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, I will see y'all in 5 minutes then. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. That was fun.
Oops. Uh, increase the, oh, that's pretty good.
Oh, the font size.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know about you all, but I found this so easy. I spend a lot of time in my character's head having inner dialogues, inner conversations, or yeah. I don't know. Was this easy? Was this hard? Was it just another tool in the toolkit?
I found it easy to do,
Mhm.
but when I did it, it didn't really work for most of that passage that I
Uh-huh.
did, except for one line which I posted.
Mhm.
So it's good to know, get the feel for what works best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Cool.
just it felt when I took the direct dialogue and made it indirect, it generally felt like distant and detached.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And sometimes you might want that. Yep. That's great. That's a great observation.
That's great.
Cool. All right, as you wanna
For I just another note, I was able to take an entire scene from my book and put it into Beth processing it in
yeah.
her like in her head in a couple of lines. So
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah, cool. Let's see what people did.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. Ginny wanted to know where her grandmother was, but Dame Goldie said she didn't know. How could that be true? She'd been in touch with her for years, for as long as Janie and
had
had been alive, and also for most of Janie's mother's life. What the regolith was Janie getting mixed up in? Her grandmother missed her check-in. Why? Was she in danger? The danger that had kept her out of her family's lives. Janie wouldn't find answers here, but here was where she could do the most good. She sighed and finished setting up the makeshift bullpen. Her ragtag bunch of helpers would be here soon, and then she could start to get to the bottom of Sally's homicide. Poor woman. Who would have wanted to hurt her? Was her attack connected in any way to the reason Janie was on Lemuria? Or to Janie's grandmother's predicament?
I just kept writing the scene. I
Yeah, yeah.
gotta move on to get things done. Janie's got to get things done.
Right. So switching the line, yes, it was when we were younger, during practice in the combat fields, to Rofen recalled his days as a young mage and his practice sessions in the combat fields. He grew quiet when he spoke of one day in particular. That's
Mhm.
great. Yeah.
Mm.
I see how the benefit of switching to indirect works well because um, I kind of feels like there was more spoken.
Mm.
So Sorofin said a lot more, and most of which we don't really need to know about. But then when it says he grew quiet when he spoke of one day in particular, then it'd be nice to fall back into the dialogue so we can hear the emotion behind that.
That's exactly what I was thinking. There's this whole conversation going on that it would get kind of boring. It'd be like the day-to-day banality. You don't talk about people going to their fridge and he pulled
Right.
the door open and
Yeah,
pulled out the milk. And no,
Mm.
I
he
do.
he poured a glass of milk. That's it. Done.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
All right. So you like compressed and then you're gonna open up the
Yeah, yeah. It keeps the pace going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice.
So you nailed it, Ezra.
I win.
Yay.
So, Nicodemus the ghost haunting us because we're his heirs? Princesses of Lascar, Will said. When the hell was that supposed to mean to me? We just got here and we were leaving back to our world as soon as possible, for that matter. But then there was that whole savior bit he was going on about. Supposedly because I shared a few key traits with Nicodema and Alexander the freaking great. Everyone who met me was going to think I was some sort of chosen one.
I love that. So she's like replaying.
Yeah,
Thumbs up from you. That's great.
yeah, that's really
Yeah,
fun.
really great. And this is where, yeah, the rumination, we should add that to the list. It's like when we replay a past dialogue and we ruminate on it. I think that's really juicy. Rumination.
Adds a lot of flavor and context as to like she has her like reactions in the moment of shock and awe and all of those kind of things, but like for her to like really sit with it and be like, oh, actually, this sucks.
Yeah.
'Cause yeah, she has like this whole plan and
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that's
great.
really fun.
Yeah.
All right, Ezra.
The guy named Shepard was nice enough. Perhaps tolerable was more accurate. Why he wore a suit and top hat at an aquarium, I'll never know. When he tried a pickup line on me, he didn't seem to be disappointed when I told him I was gay. While I was glad he remained in good spirits about it, part of me wanted to see him throw a tantrum. Heck, it's always fun to see a guy grovel for someone he can't touch. His questions about Estrella shook me up a bit. Never getting a chance to love her is a bitter pill I have to swallow every day. Didn't matter if this guy knew about it. I could talk to him, a stranger. What was he gonna do?
Fun. More reflection and
Mm-hmm.
remembering and responding. Yeah, internally. Really fun. Very useful. All right, Diana's got a direct and an indirect.
Indirect. Nice.
Sweet. Nice.
All right, here's the direct. 15 years ago, someone cast a spell that plunged our world into winter. The land froze and never thawed. We couldn't grow crops. Cows stopped having calves, and sheep stopped having lambs. Most of the wild animals went into hibernation. They've been sleeping ever since. Our roads are constantly choked with snow, and our rivers are iced over. Everything has ground to a halt. You said that this was caused by a spell? Clara said slowly. Does this mean that a person cast that spell? Prince Adrian looked straight into Clara's eyes. Yes, a person cast a spell on all of us. For some reason, Clara wanted Prince Adrian to stop. An inexplicable fear gripped her. She didn't want the story to continue. That person was your godfather, Drosselmeyer.
That's so good. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Indirect. Prince Adrian explained that 15 years ago, someone cast a spell that plunged the world into winter. The land froze and never thawed. They couldn't grow crops. Cows stopped having calves, and sheep stopped having lambs. Most of the wild animals went into hibernation and been sleeping ever since. Roads were choked with snow and rivers iced over. Everything ground to a halt. Clara wanted to know if a person had cast the spell, though for some reason she was afraid of the answer. Prince Adrian kept talking, but an inexplicable fear gripped Clara. She didn't want the story to continue.
I didn't quite get all the way through, but
Yeah.
I was working on it.
So which of those do you like better, Diana?
Direct. I mean, because I basically went for when you said that we're talking conversation. That is like the conversation that I think of in my whole novel. Really, it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was curious to see what indirect would do to it, but like I feel like the stakes are higher in the direct.
Yeah,
Sure.
I totally agree. Now, you may want to use some of the indirect later on after the initial conversation where she's remembering, because I was forgetting about all these details, and it would be good if she thought about it from time to time. And just her shock about it and the details about it and how it was Josselmeyer, and because that's kind of a central thing in your story. So you can use bits and pieces of indirect, but later on when she has thoughts and feelings about it as she gets to know the land better. Yeah, really good. And I can
Cool.
tell. Yeah, go ahead. Someone.
Oh, I said cool.
Oh, cool. Good, good, good. There's a little time lag.
Yeah.
This is YA, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, having a lot of direct speech is so important.
Yes, also there's a genre consideration. Absolutely. All right, Rocket. Okay. I'm trying to do things. Cool. So we're yeah, just in brief summary of everything we just covered. Um, cat hair all over my face. So I added a few things like rumination and reaction to what has been said in direct speech is another great use of indirect or reported speech. And yeah, we did our exercise and that was really interesting. So in summary, direct speech is best for dramatic, emotional, or pivotal moments and for showing the character voice. Indirect or reported speech is effective for summarizing, speeding up the narrative, or when the exact words are less important, or, and I'm going to add, when, Jesus, Rocket, reflecting or ruminating on what was said. So I think the websites that I was consulting, they're all about grammar and less about storytelling. And here are the storytelling things. And then there's a ton of resources. I use Perplexity to give me an overview after I had written my lesson, and you can link to it directly if you want and read it and inquire and dialogue with it if you want. Great. I know we're running a little short on time, but I hope folks will stay over. Thank you for the applause. Applause for everyone playing along. I've never taught this directly like this to fiction writers, so this was fun. And thank you, Diana, for suggesting it. Let's dive into Hugh's words. Hugh, I know you sent me 450 words. Is it okay if we just do a page?
Whatever you'd like.
Okay, cool. Hugh loves this scene. It is epic fantasy, right? Coming of age epic fantasy.
Yes.
Location in a gray stone castle with winding hallways, evening. POV character. Tobai is a 24-year-old mage, tall, wearing brown novice. Thank you. I knew I was saying that wrong. Novice robes. I'm like inundating myself with French, you guys. So I think my language circuits are a little muddled. An orphan who had been raised by a royal nurse until his magic appeared at age 4. Something unheard of. So Ezra, what kind of feedback do you want, Hugh?
Anything.
Okay.
Katie already sees indirect speech, so
Wait, what's that?
in the chat, Katie writes, "I see indirect speech."
Awesome. Let's read what's on this page, which is because it kind of has a nice little ending there, and that brings us to 219 words. That's a decent amount. Great. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay.
These hallways were familiar. He was told he had been a child here for a few years until his magic manifested earlier than normal for most. Yes, the sharp left, 2 steps down, then right. Down the hallway toward the stairs that led to the courtyard, perhaps. He had been here before. Ripples in his memory. It had been bigger and daunting, but he remembered the joy of running all around. And doors. Many locked doors that he was never allowed to go beyond. A musty smell crept into him. It was familiar, with a tinge of sweetness and smoke. A faded, ragged carpet with flowery patterns stretched out on the floor before him. Then he got to an open door on his left, just before the stone stairs that went downward. He stopped in the doorway, and for the briefest moment felt like he was in a dream, a fog drifting over his vision. He made out shapes in the dim candlelight. A table, chairs, cabinets. He squinted, and there were children's toys strewn about. Blocks, dolls, horses, wooden swords. This was This was a place he had loved. A single figure facing away spun around with a gasp. By the holies, you startled me! She paused, taking in Tobias' garments. Oh, mage! I didn't realize. She bowed.
Oh, we have to keep reading.
Yeah, exactly. Tobias stared at the tiny nurse in her long white dress with long sleeves and tight wimple. hiding any indication of hair. She had the most striking blue eyes, the same tint as a storm crystal. I am Marfana, and I take care of the children of the royal family and the occasional guest. She smiled, though it was a tired smile, like she was trying to lift a stone to the top of a tower. I'm sorry that I startled you. I think he pulled in a deep staccato breath. I think I remember being here before, if the stories are right. Was this her? Should he ask? An impulse galloped out of his mouth. My name is Tobai. The woman's smile dropped. She lifted her hand to her mouth as if it floated there, her eyes fixed on his, and they grew wet. She trembled. Tobai? My Tobai? She looked him up and down. "Oh, you still have those green eyes and that curly mop of hair." She averted his gaze, no doubt deferring to his place as mage. Yes, he replied, trying to be as soft as he could. I am your Tobai. He trembled as well, and wasn't sure whether he was going to cry or faint. This was the only woman he had known as his mother, and being with her now, his chest filled with warmth and joy, and something else. Fear. There was a moment of fear. What What happened when they took me? Marfana dropped her hand to her side and clenched her fists. She squeezed her eyes tightly and tears gushed. Oh, my Tobai. I am not allowed to say. Oh, you lovely boy, you sweet boy. You were the sweetest ever, before and since.
Hmm.
Oh, verklempt.
We are all verklempt. Oh, what a wonderful passage. You're going to include this, right, Hugh, in your book?
Oh yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. No, great. Ah, really lovely. Um, yeah, feedback. Any feedback? Something you liked, something you would like to know more of? Any typographical errors? I copied and pasted it from an email, so that's why it's got some funky little formatting things. But
I have a question about his magic manifesting. Earlier than normal, I would like a number or like some sort like decades before or like what is the norm? Unless it's like well established, but that like
Yeah,
that
good. Yep. Yeah, usually kids get it around like 10, between 10 and 12. He
yeah.
got it at 4. And when you manifest magic, you have to be taken to the Magic Academy and to live out your life.
Good. Yeah, I can't remember contextually if it's already established in the story, but if
I
not,
don't remember.
yeah, this may be a good place to put that. Yeah, good.
Or a reminder.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. Hmm.
My
Um,
brain collected a couple of grammar things
yeah, go
just
ahead.
because that's what it
Oh,
does in
there's
first
so many.
readings.
Yep.
Well, I guess punctuation, because like on this screen, you can even see it's underlined. It had been bigger and daunting, comma.
Yeah, it wants a comma.
It does want a comma, and I agree with with Microsoft Word on this. And then if you go below, that's where my brain had collected a couple of other things where, like the first sentence, I noticed the word long twice, and I'm always on the hunt for like a different descriptive word if I can get it. It's the very top sentence of the second page.
Stared.
Yep. Long white dress with long sleeves. You see long is twice. Yep.
Okay, I will just highlight it. So
Flowing.
flowing is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, so whatever you want. But my brain, like when I was a kid, I was taught to triangle repeats. So I still triangle repeats in my head. I'm just going to keep going down if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, do it. Do it.
Cool. So then if you go a little further down, like this one was a little bit more about my experience as a reader. When the woman's smile dropped, I wanted to know what that was. Was it a gasp? Was it a frown? Like, where did it go to?
Huh.
My guess is a little bit more on like the gas the surprise thing, but you're the author. You definitely know best where that smile went and what replaced it. And then just below that, she averted. I assume that's her gaze, not his gaze.
Yeah, I thought that too. Do you mean her?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Okay.
Here.
And then the very last one is another one where Microsoft underlined it. And there's like a comma that I think shouldn't actually be there, so it's the reverse of where of above.
Yeah, maybe right there. And then here
Yeah.
with the O's, I'm thinking maybe an exclamation mark, maybe, especially given your oh, something like that. Yeah, good. Thank you. That's helpful. Um, and great. I wanted to just point out that your lovely use of smell. It just really brought me there. This is
Hmm.
my second time hearing this passage, and I just love musty smell, familiar with a tinge of sweetness and smoke. And then even this description of the ragged carpet with the flowery patterns, it just got me so like into the scene. Many other things too, like how you did the directions really got me there. Um, and also it felt like he in psychology they call it age regression. There was almost like a part of the way you were telling this as if he was in his little self,
Hmm.
which I thought was really lovely and
Hmm.
evocative without explaining, the joy of
Yeah,
running.
I think it was unconscious when I was writing it. I was sort of in his head as a kid.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and how that kind of comes to us when we're in a place from so long ago. It's like we are that person again. It's just beautiful. Um,
Yeah, I have a like two things, but it's actually just kind of countering what some thoughts. So if you scroll to the bottom,
right along.
um, first of all, the I guess I where it says, "Oh, you still have those green eyes." That
Mm-hmm.
that I think I agree with the exclamation point there. At the
Mm-hmm.
bottom,
Oh, maybe you don't want
I
what
there it
like
seems
this.
out of place where it's like, "Oh, you
Okay.
lovely boy." No, it's, "Oh,
So,
you lovely boy."
okay.
That's
Yeah, I like it.
um
Okay.
um
We in the weeds around
and
here.
then
Yeah,
um
I don't have a problem with it.
Oh,
for
good.
for me the when I read the woman's smile dropped, it was the face relaxing, and so it's I'm not sure how to state it differently, to show that if that's what you're trying to get, but that's how I read it. That is just like the
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah, I'm thinking of when I'm looking at a scene in a movie or a TV show and someone's smiling and they're having a good time and somebody just tells them something really bad, the smile just sort of goes down,
Mm-hmm.
it sags, and
Yeah.
it's just like that smile is just almost as if it's sort of melted off the face.
Mm.
uh,
One, I
some
guess it's two spots. Well, if you could easily like the smile wiped from her face or like some sort of like language like that. I think that would make a lot of sense where it's just like when you like watching like a mime go like, like face to like different
Yeah,
face, like it's kind of like that. Um and that's I would say like wiping the face, that's the kind of thing that I would see like imagery wise. Um I want to know what happens to him, what he feels right after, like if her face goes blank or
yeah,
like just like I want it like did I do like I want like something where he's like, did I say something wrong? Like, what's his like world reaction where it's like, how do people react to him as a mage? Because that's what she knew what him as, and like him personifying himself. It's like, I should have stuck with the mage, like just like said I was the mage, or
yeah.
whatever his internal reaction is there. But I also want the she averted his gaze piece. Like, how does that make him feel? Like, oh, like this is his mom.
Yeah.
I would be heart like I can feel it, but I want him to like state it where it's like I want to feel his heart plummet.
Mm.
And then like him like trying to like him recovering is like the like trying to be soft, but like he like I want that like gut punch of like what he feels when his mom won't look at him.
Mm.
This sounds like a good place to put some indirect dialogue. Like he's in his mind, he's saying, "No, don't look away. Look
Mm.
at me," and he can't say the words.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm gonna
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, very.
I'm just gonna
Say
I
it.
know I said this before last time, but it's like there are times when less is more, and um when it comes to extreme powerful feelings, uh my understanding is it's okay to not explicitly show them. And so like if
So you vote for leaving it as is.
yeah, I mean, so like um if someone touches a woman and the woman flinches, and that they know each other, um I don't think we need to go into what that person had done to the woman. We can kind of gather that, and going deep into her feelings of, oh, this person's touching me again, and I hate it when he touches me or she touches me. Um, Kind of
Yeah,
is the effect.
So this is something Ezra and I were talking about recently, is there's a difference between character reaction and reader reaction.
Mhm.
So that's why less is more. When we don't explain everything, it allows the readers to fill it in. And you could test this as you move into beta reading
Yeah,
soon. You can see, like, are people wanting more? Are people confused? Because what I'm noticing as I have a beta reader responding to my work right now, she's like, yes, oh, awesome. I found these typos, but I love it. Give me the next piece. Like we
right.
may
Yeah,
not.
I'd like to play with this because I feel like he's got to feel something in his gut.
sure.
Mhm,
But I don't want to overdo it. So I think maybe finding some sort of balance.
mhm.
A
Yeah.
A/B testing.
A/B testing.
A/B testing, yes.
And when you have a room that's kind of half and half, then you're like, I get to follow my gut. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters.
It's like where you have one version of the scene where it specifies everything, and the one scene where there's uh it's less is more kind of thing, where you don't have it said explicitly, and you show it to two different people and you see which one
Yeah.
gets a stronger response. But that's A/B testing. But it's more for advertising.
And also remember, you want to make sure who is your audience and who is like, this is not YA versus, right? So in YA, it tends to be like way emotional
Yeah.
versus things we write for adults might be pulled back a little bit. I notice. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going for a YA audience. Yeah.
Yeah. So that might be a different in tone. Yeah. Really great. Great job, Hugh. I hope this was helpful.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the help on this and the insight and all those little fixes that I missed. Thank you.
So great. Well, let's just do a few minutes of wrap up. Like, what was your takeaway today? Your aha, as we dove into direct and indirect slash reported speech. Um, it's so fun shining a light on a piece of fiction like that, or a piece of craft. And then also, what is your next step? We'll see y'all in July 3rd. Hopefully, people will be around. I thought I'd keep it, even though it's the day before, July 4th. We'll be back in town. Yeah, takeaways, ahas, next steps.
I'm just noticing that like I really liked the indirect speech, but that's not what's seen in a screenplay. And so it's like, how can I convert that into a screenplay? And that would probably go into more actions and um
You probably can't. Yeah, it's one of those things that just don't, nah, not part of script writing.
but
Yeah,
yeah, anyway,
yeah,
it's something worth thinking about.
but something to hold into your back pocket for fiction. Yeah, great. Huge aha moment. You want to read?
Sure. Words for these things. What is the name of that thing called?
Yeah.
Um, Next up, rewrite the scene with the nurse and continue on with that moment between Roafin and Tobias.
Love it. Love it.
Nice.
Yep. Diana, how about you? Any takeaways or ahas?
A couple. I mean, one was learning that reported speech and indirect are probably the same thing. Like, that was interesting. And then I'm not sure, it had really occurred to me that rumination was indirect speech. So that was cool to sort of see that kind of angle, because it is true, you can write it like speech.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. And then for next steps, obviously, since I've been traveling, I owe you some stuff, but you're going to be traveling, so I don't know if I should be sending you anything. Like, definitely don't worry about trying to do anything while you're traveling. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
maybe,
I am thinking I have to pick up
yeah,
where I left off.
that'd be great. I mean, aim to send me something like July 1st.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. And did we get next steps? Katie, how about you? Any ahas or takeaways about the topic?
Definitely reported speech. I remember this from French class. So like now that like I was like, oh, I remember this word now. And like it had been in the back of my brain bugging me since I'd seen the title. So yeah, good aha moment of my own language practice. But next steps. Um I think working on some indirect speech from about prophecies and lore and all of that kind of stuff, where it's like, what's the real thing that actually happened and was said versus what people say was said and what's passed down.
I love that because you and I were having that conversation in our call this morning. Yeah, really fun. And I would say for me, just diving back into this from a fiction writer's perspective versus like teaching language, it was really fun to see, like, I love analyzing the function of things. So really seeing how indirect speech, when we replay a past conversation and then draw new conclusions from that, I think that's such a useful thing to do and to thread throughout. It's great for detective stories, but every story, right? Every story has a mystery of some kind. I thought that was fun. And yeah, and I look forward to wandering Amsterdam and Paris and then sitting down and noodling with fiction and getting 2 chapters ready for my critique group when I get back or when I'm back.
And we managed to like reduce the price a lot because we're getting Paris and Amsterdam to overlap on top of each other. They'll be two cities like pancakes.
Like pancakes?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it'll be really easy to enjoy both at the same time.
Same time?
I brought syrup.
You brought syrup. Okay, cool. French flags.
Love, love, love.
So who is the writer for next time? I'm looking at the list that I keep. This is why I have these lists for me to remember. Let's see. Oh, Story, if he's up for it. And if not, maybe you, Ezra.
Correct.
He may or may not be ready. He finally hit something that we both agreed was gold. And what shall we focus on topic-wise? Anything specifically juicy? Yeah, my brain is blank because it's about that time of day. For pizza.
Oh, I have an idea.
Yeah.
But please veto it if you want. Dining room scenes, eating scenes, appropriate. Just
it's on your mind.
Is it like slow down pacing? What's good, bad?
Well, they're great for the end of the story, especially in ensemble stories. Lots of romances end with everyone around a table and joking, and it's like that movie scene at the end of the Avengers, the falafel scene. How satisfying was that?
I like this because, like, I have a author I love, but it drives me crazy that he always has to literally give me a list of what every character is eating in every dining scene. And I'm like, dude, I don't actually, like, when the universe is at risk, I do not care what kind of drink they have. I'm sorry. So I would be interested to hear what other people think.
Yeah. Is it something worth focusing on? Yeah. I mean, I love using,
Yeah,
yeah, what do you
I
think?
was just also thinking that just also that scene in the shawarma place at the
Yeah.
end of Avengers was fantastic. But I'm also thinking um, that I've seen TV shows where around a family table they're dining and there's a lot of needling going back and forth or like one-upmanship going back and forth and how that it can raise the tension because you're there at the table. If you walk away, that's like a huge faux pas, so you're kind of trapped.
Nice.
Mhm.
And so it's that's a way to increase tension, I think.
Yeah. And then we've got Friends, classic for dining room table stuff. I've used meal times as like a rest after the big, especially in my adventure stories with Henrietta and her friends. Dune has a really amazing dining. Ooh, is that in the film or in the book or both?
The book.
Book.
I've read the book so many times, and it's literally like they get all of the enemies at the table. And I mean, the subtext is, are they going to kill each other? Right
Right.
here, right now.
Oh, I gotta reread that book. Oh, I read
Because
them
when
all
I
so long ago.
when I
And
read
and
that,
I'm
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in Star Trek Six, The Undiscovered Country, where when Captain Kirk and his crew are sitting across the table from the Klingons, and how that just goes south real fast.
Great. So on the one hand, we have these wonderful tension, conflict, and then the other hand, they're great for end of story, resolution. And I use them as kind of like little mid-resolution. I also use them as kind of bridge. Yeah, we could talk
I
about
think
sort of the use and purposes of dining scenes.
because yeah, I mean, because I think Michael Connolly seems to sit with people, friends to chat about a case and
And
in the
he's using the setting of a famous LA diner. So because LA is a character in his books. There's often
well,
that.
there I think different diners or
But what I
different.
mean is
Oh,
that's an author
oh, I see
known
what
for
you mean.
using setting as character. So it's
Yeah,
also really great if you're pulling in setting. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that stuff for
Anyway,
myself. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, we have a lot to say. The uses and the story purposes, functions,
yeah.
and
And
yeah.
I can think of like reasons not to have one.
Well,
So,
sure. But if we're going to talk
so,
about it, it'll
but I
be
mean,
about how to use it appropriately,
exactly.
how to use
That's
it
what
to
I'm.
its best effect.
That's
What is the effect? So it's kind of a plot slash setting slash story pacing thing.
right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I
Okay,
love
good.
it.
Great. That's fun. We've never done that before. So everyone bring your favorite uh dining room horror story scene moment from your childhood. No. I
We'll have a therapy session.
no. That's good. No, thank you. Cool. Well, really fun, juicy. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, real quick, our next meeting is July 3rd. If people want to come to sprints, there's one July 22nd that Dave runs. There's a book sale summit happening now that's free. I put the link in our newsletter, in our reminder email. And then Teachers of Fiction starts on Saturday that I will be speaking at. And Katie, you might be interested in that. It's for people who want to help writers as coach, teacher, editor, that kind of thing. So if you haven't signed up already, Katie, I recommend it. You're all welcome, but it's really designed for people who want to, teach and help support writers. Maybe Hugh, you want to get into that racket. I know you have a full plate, but I think you were talking about it briefly.
Yeah, I was. I feel immensely unqualified.
You're way more qualified than anyone who's
Yeah,
not put
yeah,
words on a page
exactly.
or who is just barely beginning. Like, remember how you were before you started writing,
Oh
or
yeah.
right as you were writing. Where did I put it? I thought I put the events.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
We all start there. We all start super messy. So there they are. There's the links in the chat. Those are the links, my affiliate links. Both events are free unless you want to upgrade. And that's it. Oh my God, we went 12 minutes over. So thank you, everyone. So good to see you all. We're going to be away pretty soon, and we'll be back. So have wonderful few weeks, and thank you for your flexibility in having this meeting on this day instead of next week, or we would be three in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have a great weekend when it happens.
Yes. Yes. Great. I guess that's it for now. I'll be in touch with all of you, and I look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks. All right. Take care. Ciao. Good night.